photography, when practiced in terms of its inherent qualities, may also reveal endless horizons of meaning.
A fine craftsman employs different tools for different purposes. Item, one 8x10 view camera, 20 holders, 4 lenses, one Cook convertible, one 10-inch wide field Ektar, one 9-inch Dagor, one 6 3/4-inch Wollensack wide angle. Item, one 7x17 special panorama camera with a Protar 13.5-inch lens and 5 holders. Item, one 4x5 view camera, 6 lenses, 12-inch Collinear, 8.5-inch Apo-Lenthar, 9.25-inch Apo-Tessar, 4-inch wide field Ektar, Dallmeyer Adon telephoto. Item, one Hasselblad camera outfit with 38, 60, 80, 135 and 200 millimeter lenses. Item, one Contaflex 35 millimeter camera. Item, 2 Polaroid cameras. Item, 3 exposure meters, 1 SEI and 2 Westons, in case he drops one. Item, filters for each camera, K1, K2, minus blue, G, X1, A, C5 and B, F, 85B, 85C, light balancing, Series 81 and 82, 2 tripods, 1 light, 1 heavy, lens brush, stopwatch, thermometer, level, focusing magnifier, focusing cloth, Hycolite strobe portrait outfit, 200 feet of cable, special storage box for film. Item, one ancient 8-passenger limousine with 5x9-foot camera platform on top. The disciplines and standards of a musician lie behind Ansel Adams' approach to photography. Like every good photographer, he pre-visualizes his final print right here on the ground glass of his view camera, or with a miniature camera, right on his inner eyelid. Excitement over the image now gives way to precise technical reasoning. With a light meter of this type, he can measure the brightness of very small or very distant areas.
Darkest shadow, 8 candles per square foot. Light on wet sand, 2,000 candles per square foot. Place shadow on zone 1, high value will fall on zone 9. Normal minus development indicated.
By such measurement, he can estimate what exposure he needs now and what development later. By the delicate balance between exposure and development, he attains the tonal range he wants in his final image.
I keep a record of everything. Film, lens, filter, lens extension, lens aperture, shutter setting. Above all, where I've placed important values on the exposure scale, and what development I will use to attain them in the negative. The negative looks adequately sharp all over. Shadow densities exactly on the right zones. A little camera flare helped the shadow density as expected. All set. Fingers dry. Dust brushed off the negative. Here goes for a test exposure. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. The image is coming up quite well balanced. A little more exposure and full development on the next one. Here's the final print. The shadows come through as expected, and the high values are okay.
Once Adams has achieved the print he wants, he is able, simply by controlling exposure and processing, to make from one negative hundreds of fine prints in a day. By this technique, he can produce portfolios of original prints which are in themselves works of art. In translating his photographs into fine reproductions, Adams works closely with engravers and printers. Such printed reproductions often approach the quality of his original prints. Photography to Ansel Adams is a profession as well as an art, and his standards are as high as those of an architect or engineer. On industrial or other assignments, he may sometimes return many times to get what he's after. He takes over a client's problem from the moment it is broached to him to the moment of its final presentation to the public. Adams also serves as consultant to photographic manufacturers in the development of new materials and processes. A friend working in his garden becomes the subject for a Polaroid film test. In portraiture, with the same respect for the dignity of the individual, he photographs a little Papago girl, a Franciscan missionary, a writer, an historian, a musician, a young girl, the photographers Edward Weston and Alfred Stieglitz. To Ansel Adams, ever since he made his first photograph, Yosemite Valley has meant much more than cliffs, waterfalls, trees.
The great rocks of Yosemite are the very heart of the earth speaking to us. Alfred Stieglitz said, "Art is the affirmation of life." And life, or its eternal evidence, is everywhere. Expressions without doctrine, my photographs are presented here as images of the endless moments of the world.
Hello, everybody. I'm sorry I'm late. I was getting blood work done, and they were running late, and so my wife and I rushed back. Thankfully, I had set up the show before, like I had picked all the films and set everything up last night, because I knew just in case. But I appreciate everybody joining me. I'm Skip Elsheimer. I collect old 16 millimeter films, and I've been showing them to folks for, I don't even know what week this is. I have no idea, a long time. Since middle of March, right? Anyways, that last film was Ansel Adams' Photographer. And who knew that he plays piano too? And also what he sounds like. That's awesome. I mean, this is why I collect films, is that it documents these things. And you get to see how people moved and what they sound like, and not just their work, but you actually see them in working and in the field and their philosophy and all that stuff. So this is a really great film, which I very much enjoy. Now it's time for a silly film called Arabesque. Enjoy. so there you go. And a lot of people noticed that the film was backwards, was flipped. So when I got it, it was, the soundtrack was on the right side. But so what that tells me is that when they printed it at the lab and they composited the visual element with the sound element, that they accidentally flipped it. So it got released that way. So that's the way I'm not going to fix it. This happened, of course, with the film Living in a Reverse World, which was talking about reverse stuff and then was also flipped. And I don't know if that was a joke or if that the person at the lab was honestly confused by what was happening and was like, I don't know, So anyways, pretty great. So that was, it could have been a student film, could have been an experimental film. So an aside, I've been watching a lot, as many of us have, been watching a lot of streaming stuff on Roku, my Roku. And there's a channel called Tubi TV, which has a lot of new movies and old TV shows. And there's a TV show that I found that just kind of caught my attention. It's called The Great American Dream Machine. And each episode, it was made in 1970 by WNET, which was New York's public television station. And it has a series of skits and like live and also interviews with people. So in one episode, they interview Evel Knievel. Another episode, they interview a roller derby woman. And also throughout there, they have animation. And they have a bunch of films that I have in my collection that they show. And they showed back when the films came out. So Replay, which was the weird Arrow shirt film featuring hippies and old people, and an early version of Tomorrow, the song Tomorrow, was on there. I just watched it last night. I was blown away. And also The House I Live In, which is another film that I have, which is Frank Sinatra calling a bunch of kids Nazi werewolves because they are intolerant, racially or religiously intolerant. Really amazing show. So if you're interested in stuff that I'm showing, that's a great thing to watch. Now, the pacing of it is early 1970s pacing, so everything just kind of goes, it slows down. But I recommend it. So, and I think you can also watch Tubi TV on like your browser. So it's Tubi, TUBI.TV, or you download the app on Roku. It's free. I was just kind of floored by that. Just saying like, oh my gosh, they showed that film. They showed that film. It got me very excited to see because people often ask me like, well, where was this film shown? And I say like, I'm guessing here in libraries and whatever. I'm like, no, it was shown on this show. All right, this next film is in beautiful color, and it's about traffic accidents, called As a Matter of Fact.
How'd it happen?
I'm not sure. I guess I didn't see him. Traffic was coming from all directions.
On a certain day, in a certain state, a series of planned steps were taken to discover and eliminate hazards to traffic. All of this action stemmed in large part from information supplied by a common source, an Accident Records Bureau. Such a bureau is essential in every state and in every sizable community. Accident records are basic to safety. Through their analysis, facts will replace guesswork. Actual experience will replace mere opinions in developing the accident prevention program. Here in an isolated rural area with no police on the scene, accident reporting depends on you, the motorist. A written report sent without delay to the proper authorities in your state or community. In an accident causing injury or death, you report immediately by the quickest means of communication. In urban areas, in addition to individual reports, a large amount of information should come from trained police investigators who go to the scene of the accident. There they get valuable facts, including information from witnesses and the driver or drivers involved. An efficient reporting system requires use of a standard form to expedite the process and ensure greater accuracy. A copy of the report goes to the state where, as in the city, it is filed by location of the accident, easily cross-referenced to names of pedestrians and drivers. Reports are tabulated to assemble data such as vehicle types, condition of roadway, time of day, and the addresses of drivers involved. Today, in up-to-date bureaus with a heavy volume of cases, mechanical tabulating equipment is employed. Also, statistically trained personnel, for today, a properly functioning accident records bureau demands competent employees selected on a merit basis. At least one employee for every 2,000 cases reported annually. But for best results, one employee for every 1,500 cases. When properly maintained and interpreted, accident records serve many valuable purposes. They help guide state and city engineers in removing hazards from existing streets and highways, and in designing safety into those still on the drawing board. They help the manufacturer add still more safety factors to vehicle design. They help spotlight the habitual traffic law violator. His deficiencies then can be corrected. Failing that, his license can be revoked. Accident records help states and cities find locations requiring traffic signals, signs, and markings. They disclose weaknesses in laws and ordinances in need of strengthening. But all these important benefits and others depend on the kind of accident records bureau your state and community maintains. First, does your state law require prompt reporting of all accidents? Is your records bureau a central bureau? Is a standard reporting form used? Does it employ scientifically trained personnel? Do you comply with the law by reporting any accident in which you are involved? Measure your state and local bureaus by these yardsticks. If they fall short in any area, that is where correction is required. Remember, a strong traffic safety program must include an efficient accident records bureau, a storehouse of facts on past mistakes put to use for your future safety. Facts that contribute to elimination of hazards for you, your family, and your community, for all who use our streets and highways. And so we progress one more major step toward the action program for traffic safety.
Is this the most boring traffic safety film that I have in my collection? Maybe. So this is obviously about bigger picture traffic safety and about lobbying to change laws or legislate better ways to handle traffic safety. So lots of graphs there. It starts off with so much potential, and then it's just a bunch of still images. So beautifully done, illustrated still images nonetheless, but still images nonetheless. This next film reminds us of that time before we knew how to tell time. And I forget about that. Like, there was a time that I didn't know how to tell time, and I had to learn it. And so this is a film that helps kids learn, or adults learn to tell time.
Clock Talk. We're going to be talking all about clocks and why they show time and how people use them. Let's begin by looking into clocks. As the hands go round and round, they show each hour. Can you say them? Let's start with 1 o'clock.
1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock. Is that a clock?
Sure, that's a clock too. A digital clock. It shows the numbers for each hour and each minute.
8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock. Yay!
By now, you know who I am, right? Sure. I'm a refrigerator, and I can keep food cold. And that's not all I can do. Huh? What? I'm not?
Nope.
Oh, then, maybe I'm a television set. That's it. I'm a clock. I'm a clock.
Yeah, a clock.
A clock, huh?
Of course you're a clock. And useful too.
What's so great about being a clock? Can I keep food cold?
No, but you are useful. You can show minutes and hours.
I can? How?
The longer hand? That one. That's the minute hand, and it moves all the way around the clock for each hour. And the hour hand? The slowest one. Points from hour to hour, round and round.
But what good is that?
It really helps people because clocks can show the same time no matter where they are.
That's important, huh?
Oh, yes. People can do all sorts of things like agree on when to meet and then check with clocks to make sure that they're not too early or late for their meeting. And since clocks are so regular, people have been using them to arrange meetings for a long, long time. Why, years ago, when everyone said the Green Baron was the best pilot in the world, even though he had a weak stomach, ace aviator Cecil Fanshawe Timely challenged the Green Baron for the Flyers Championship. Eagerly, he checked his watch. They had agreed to meet at exactly 7 o'clock in the morning. It was 7, and Fanshawe Timely took to the air. Fanshawe Timely took to the air. It's 7 o'clock. It's time to go. Maybe I could be a jet. Since you're a clock, you could be in a jet. Pilots use their clocks to make sure they arrive when they're supposed to. Clocks are showing time for people just about everywhere and for all sorts of reasons.
Hey, what's happening?
The alarm clock is helping to remind her it's time to do things and go places, like school. At school, clocks remind us when it's time for work, when it's time for lunch, or when it's time to play.
Hey, that looks like fun.
See that clock the teacher's holding? It's a stopwatch. It tells her how fast her children run the race.
Oh,
Around. Tick-tock, touch the ground. Tick-tock, look at the sky. Tick-tock, wink one eye.
Priscilla, it's 5:30. You can play for another half hour, until 6 o'clock.
When people are doing something they like, hours and minutes seem to go so quickly.
Six o'clock.
Sometimes clocks can be such a nuisance. Maybe our lives would be better if we didn't have any.
that might not be so bad.
Well, there would be some problems. Teachers wouldn't know when to start their classes, and kids would have to wait until everyone arrived. Some might come early, and some might come late, and some might not come at all.
Now that would be confusing.
And what about cooking? Without clocks, it would be hard to know when the meatloaf was cooked, or when to take the cake out of the oven.
Right. What a mess. Somebody open a window around here. Say, what's he doing?
He's waiting for the bus.
Oh. If he's waiting for the bus, why does he look at his clock so often?
He wants to see how long it is until the bus comes.
Why can't he be patient? I don't mind waiting.
Well, sure, you're a clock. And for clocks, 1 hour is just like any other hour, and 1 minute is just like any other minute. But that's not true with people. People feel time differently. Some minutes seem fast, and some minutes seem awfully slow, especially for people who are waiting for their favorite TV show or dessert. Or even the bus.
What's that?
That's you. Your insides. Clocks have gears and springs like this to move their hands around to show time.
I didn't know I had it in me. Maybe I will be a clock. Yay! If you thought that was neat, take a look at this. What does your favorite clock look like? How do your mom and dad use clocks? How do you use clocks?
So, yeah, that was pretty great. It not only talked about the basics of how to read time, but also talked about why does it feel like it takes longer than it does sometimes. Speaking of clocks and watches, I haven't had a watch in forever. Maybe college, maybe not even then. But someone recently thought that I had left a watch somewhere at a beach house, and this would have been back in October. And they were like, "Hey, does this belong to you? Because if it doesn't, I think it belongs to you." And so it was. See if you can see it here. It's Chairman Mao. And he stopped waving. Hold on. But he waves. I need to figure out how to rewind it. I might have actually just broken it. But there he goes. There he goes. Hold on. So somebody thought that I should have a Chairman Mao waving watch. And I gotta say, not a supporter of Chairman Mao, but I'll take his watch. That's a pretty awesome gift. And thank you so much, William, for donating some coffee today. And thanks everybody for donating this week. It means a great deal. I really seriously enjoy your comments and tuning in, but the money coming in for the coffee, which is also paying for other things. Thank you. Excuse me, my goodness, that Chipotle is coming up. So you guys really were excited about a talking clock. So this next film is Told by a Tooth. Enjoy.
Hello, everybody. How are you all? Would you like to learn how to have strong, healthy teeth? All right then, listen carefully, and I will tell you about 4 things which will help you have better teeth. Number 1 on the list of things which help us teeth is the right kind of food. If we teeth are going to be strong, we must have lime or calcium. This is found in milk, leafy green vegetables, and milk products. Another thing that makes us thrive is phosphorus. You will find it abundantly in milk, eggs, beans, prunes, cereals, and meat. Cod oil, cod liver oil, and viosterol are rich in vitamin D, which is good for the bones as well as the teeth. Did you know there is another good way to get vitamin D? Good old sun. We teeth are very fond of you. We know how good you are for us. Healthy gums also need certain foods. Oranges, lemons, tomatoes, cabbage, and pineapples are rich in vitamin C. Now we come to help number 2, and that is exercise. You like to exercise, don't you? It helps make you strong. We teeth need our exercise too. How do we get it? By chewing. If all the food you eat is soft and is gulped or washed right down, we teeth don't get the workout we ought to have. If things go on that way, we teeth get to be like some lazy fellow who lies around all the time and is not much good for anything. What we need are hard foods that will put us to work. Every day you should eat some of these foods. Help number 3 is your toothbrush. In buying a toothbrush, be sure to get one which is small enough. Your dentist will be glad to tell you the right kind to buy. Your toothbrush will last longer if before using it, you let it stand for about 2 hours in a solution of 1 teaspoonful of salt in a glass of water. If the whole family's toothbrushes are kept together like this, it makes it easy for germs to pass from one brush to the other. This is the right way to keep your toothbrush. The right kind of a toothbrush, hanging in its proper place where the sun can dry it, is a very fine sight indeed. But it won't do us teeth any good unless it is used regularly in the proper manner. Downward on the upper teeth, count to 10. Upward on the lower teeth, 10 strokes again. Remember the inside surfaces of your teeth as well. And finally, the grinding or biting surfaces. Take your time about it. You are not through until every surface of every tooth has been brushed carefully. Form the habit of brushing your teeth carefully at least twice a day, in the morning and at night. You couldn't put your time to better use.
Crap. I just interrupted it. I'm sorry, and there's not a way to easily get back to it without playing it all the way through. And so, I apologize. Oh, man. It was like a false stop. I was like, oh, crap, it stopped. Anyways, so there's like fascinating stuff with this film on how much dental hygiene has changed and how much it hasn't changed. Somebody noticed that dental powder So this is before it was like actual paste. And what you do is you would mix it. You would be a paste when it got wet. And people brushed their teeth with baking soda as well. It was a mild, I don't know, friction. I'm suddenly at a loss. I'm all flustered because I interrupted that film. Anyways, thanks everybody for showing up and spending your lunch with me. We'll be back again on Monday at 1 o'clock. But also tonight at 6 o'clock, I'll be having a guest, Dr. Marsha Gordon, who we've written articles together and chapters and books and about educational films and certain types of educational films. And tonight she's going to talk about films that were made in the late 60s, early 70s for girls and that were shown in school, about menstruation, about self-image, etc. Some of them are sponsored films. Some of them are really good films. So join me back here again at 6 if you're interested. Thanks so much again for all the contributions for the coffee. That's very much appreciated. And I have been drinking coffee, the coffee that I really love, which is I have a giant bag of 8 o'clock coffee because that's my favorite. I like that's the generic, like middle of the road coffees. If you like what you saw, you can like us on YouTube and I guess on Facebook too. And then, of course, Patreon's a place you can donate, and you can go to AV Geeks and you can watch previous shows that we've done. Thank you so much again for your support and your kind words. And everybody have a good, relaxing weekend. Take care of yourselves. Take care of your friends. Be empathetic. And think. And remember that Chairman Mao is here. And he says hello. Thanks again, everybody. We'll see you again soon. Take care.